Hi, welcome to another CIPS tutorial. Outcomes assessment is intended to gather information about students' learning and utilize that information to improve teaching, learning, and service delivery at CRC. It determines the extent to which the outcomes for a course, a program, a general education area, or the college overall are being met, and helps inform long-term planning for how we can support students in those programs, courses, or the college. To conduct outcomes assessment in CIPS, we'll navigate to the Assessment tab or to the Assessment Reporting button on the home page. For instructional programs, we'll be using the Instructional Program box to conduct either course learning outcomes assessments or program learning outcomes assessments. Today we're talking about our course SLOs, so we'll click that. And then we see a list of programs. We'll navigate to our program. Today I'm using a sandbox. I've found it here. And then I'll want to select a course over here on the right from my program. When I click that link, I see all the courses within my program. I also see a few other things. A status. This indicates whether or not the course has been assessed within the current assessment cycle. Our assessment cycles are 6 years long. You can then see a corresponding date, the date of the last assessment for that course. Or if the course is not assessed during the cycle, the date will be blank. You can then submit an assessment, which you can do even if the course has been assessed on the cycle, or you can view the link to previous assessments for that course. If you do this, and there are multiple assessments, you'll see them all listed here with the date that they were submitted. If I hit view, I can then see all the details, who submitted the assessment, the date ranges, and all the details that I'm about to walk through. Navigating back to our course list, I'm going to submit an assessment for this unassessed course. Here it will ask how many instructors are contributing to the assessment report. This can be just me, it can be me and other folks that I have talked with, or it can be me and a group who are all working on this together right now. For the sake of this demonstration, it's just me. I'll type the names of everyone who is contributing. I'm looking at a session from this term and a section from the last term. Right now it's spring 2025, and I'm also looking at fall 2024. You can look at just one semester, or you can look at a range of them. This just depends on your personal preferences or when you're entering the assessment process. Then for each outcome for my course, I'll see 3 options. This particular outcome is to learn about the different types of pitches, and I think that student learning has overall met expectations. The form will then ask me, how do I know that student learning has overall met expectations? And it will ask me to select the methods of assessment that I utilize to come to that conclusion. Canvas data is perhaps our most accurate method. There's a separate video about that. Analysis of student work, such as portfolios, student self-assessments, direct observation, final exams, or other. In this particular case, I'm using a final exam. What did I learn from my course outcomes assessment? Are there any changes that are needed? Any minutia of that outcome, such as objectives within it, that students are struggling with or succeeding at? And then identify the type of instructional changes, if any, I will make based on that assessment. Overall, it's going well, so no instructional changes are needed for this course. But in the future, I might consider revisions to the syllabus or using new or revised teaching methods if my students are struggling with any aspect of my outcomes. Then provide more details about the above instructional changes if there are any. And identify any curricular or programmatic implications of my assessment that should be discussed during my next program review. This includes purchasing of new equipment, staffing, any other needs that are a result of this assessment. Because I indicated no changes, I'll say that there are no implications. There's a box for providing more information. And then identify college-wide implications of your assessment. In this particular case, since no big changes are needed, this does not have college-wide implications. I can also upload a file. This is mostly for my colleagues who might be viewing this assessment later on. And always remember to hit save. Now, when we return to our courses within the Sandbox program, we'll see that all 3 of these courses are now assessed, and I submitted this assessment on June 19th, 2025. I can view the link for the assessment. I can see very easily that there are no programmatic or curricular implications, which is pretty convenient if I'm looking at somebody else's assessment. I can also view all the details of the assessment. I can edit the details of the assessment. This is only really recommended if you're the person who submitted the assessment. Never use the edit feature to submit a new assessment. You can simply submit an assessment. And once you do that, you'll be able to see both assessments at the view link. They'll be listed in chronological order. Those are the basic steps for submitting a course student learning outcomes assessment within the CIPS system. If you have any further questions, please reach out to the CRC Research Office or to the Institutional Effectiveness Committee.